we started this project back in, I think it was November 2004 or slightly before, and Sophie Marsh came in and talked to the selectmen about the situation at Jane Drive, and that led to discussions with engineers and so forth, and we ultimately got a grant from the EPA to put filters on the buses, but we continued along, but it took really until November of 2008 until the Board of Education voted to proceed with the project, and that was help of the Board of Ed represented here today and Superintendent Osga, and that really was the turning point, because until then we had a good idea but we didn't have consensus. So then the voters approved the project in August of '09 by appropriating $675,000, and in February we hired Macnick Brothers to do the work, and here we are today. The building committee has played a very important role, and the committee was formed in November of '09 and have worked tirelessly until just a couple of weeks ago. Their job may not be entirely done, but mostly done. So it's really been a collaborative effort between District 18 and the towns of Lyme and Old Lyme to make this happen. And we keep hearing about regionalization, and this is a good example of how we now have a facility that will be ours forever, and the costs will be quantified. There'll be no increases, and once this thing is paid off, it will be very nominal to operate. The town of Old Lyme is not charging anything for it. So with that, Bonnie Reed-Snyder is here, and on behalf of the Old Lyme Selectmen, we want to thank the building committee, and I know you'll do some intros in a moment. But Betty, on behalf of the school, we would like to have your thoughts on this.
Thank you, Tim. I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. We have some students. That's a special part of our work. Obviously, the transportation of our students to and from school every day is a major responsibility. It may not be our prime work, but when it doesn't go well, we all have lots of anguish to endure. This transition happens to coincide with a new partnership with M&J Bus Company, and I certainly did hold my breath the first few days of school that both the location and the new services would work. And I can tell you it's been seamless. I don't think our families have experienced any kind of change, except for those who lived in the former bus depot area who have had a great relief, and you can see the Marsh family there with big smiles on their faces. I would like to thank our Bob Dunn, who did a great job managing the project, as well as Mr. Macnick and company for providing what, to me, is the best facility that I've had the pleasure of working with. I'd like to congratulate the town of Old Lyme and all of its citizens, and certainly to thank the Board of Education for its actions in supporting the realization of this project. Thank you, Tim.
Well, we have with us Sharon Ames, who is the district manager for M&J, and I know they've been eager to work our town because they're located in Old Saybrook, and you can see by the nice shiny buses we're getting the cream of the crop, I believe. So we thank you, and we just got air conditioning last week, so they're happier.
Much happier, and I've got to tell you, a facility like this is a gift when you're in the bus industry, because paved parking is not heard of usually. It's just a beautiful facility, and thank you so much. It's wonderful.
So, Mr. Dunn, this is your, I don't know, third or fourth project for us.
This is the fun part. I get to thank all the people that really did the work that made this all possible. But first, I'd like to thank the team leader, the leaders of the community, as well as the Board of Education, and also the district administration for recognizing that this was the right thing to do for this community, to move it from a residential neighborhood to this. Let's use this spot. We have it. and I think it's going to work out beautifully, so I'm glad that everyone got together on that. Okay, the real success of the project is due to the professionals that both served on the building committee and also the professional contracting firm of Macknick Brothers and the various local contractors Todd had hired for this project. And I'd first like to recognize the building committee. You know, we put together a nice small committee, but of real true professionals in different areas. First we had Ed Adante, who's the head of public works, that was on the committee that provided a lot of good insights. We had Bob Chapman, a respected local builder, that was also on the committee. Joe St. Germain over there, a retired paving executive, who really provided tremendous help and analysis of the nitty-gritty of what was going on here. And also Sophie Marsh, who was the leader of the grassroots movement in town. That I remember all the elections, you know, every election day, she's out there with the tent. The last time I missed you weren't there anymore, trying to get, signatures and everything else from people. And Sophie really had a lot of insights because she lived with the bus parking facility for a number of years. Okay, we also had a couple ex officio members. Chris Carter served as our liaison to the Board of Education, and Tim Griswold over here was our budgeting accountant extraordinaire once again, that made sure that we were still within budget. And I don't think Tim mentioned, but not only was this project successful, but it was on time, and it was significantly under budget by at least $25,000, I think, and maybe even a little bit more than that. So thanks to Tim for taking care of the book, so to speak. But last but not least is John Flower over there, the local building inspector. I mean, you really couldn't pick a better guy to be clerk of the works on a project than John. John knows every building regulation. He knows sound building practices. He knows what's going on, not only in this community, but things around here with the state and everything else. And John, it's been a pleasure once again working with you as the clerk of the works to make sure that not only was the project moving along, but working really well with the people on the project, Todd and all his people, to make sure the best outcome always was the outcome that we got from this project. Okay, well, the committee did some homework, and the committee made the right decision when we went to pick the contractor we wanted to offer this project to, and it was Macknick Brothers. Todd gave me some information that the Macknick family has been proudly serving Old Lyme and the surrounding communities since the 1920s, when Joseph Macknick first got the first firm together, I guess. But the really interesting thing is on this project, 3 generations of Macknicks actually served on the project. Of course, there's Todd, who oversees everything and has tremendous ideas and solutions to all the various problems you always seem to encounter on these projects. And his son, Tom, who's not here, is a recent graduate from engineering school. So Todd has a real good helper now in Tommy Macknick, as far as taking care of a lot of the paperwork and doing a lot of the engineering calculations just to make sure that he still can do them right. But the guy who also helped out on this, I understand, was Leon, Todd's father. Leon helped Becky do some of the planting and mulching in the area. So 3 generations actually worked together on this project. But in fact, one extra item, John Flower mentioned to me that Leon actually was here at least a couple times a day, checking on the project, checking on the work, making sure everything was going pretty smoothly. So I think that made Leon also the unofficial clerk of the works on this project, keeping his eye on everything. Okay, so basically that's it. But I'd like to just point out one other thing. Even though a project like this seemed to be pretty straightforward and relatively simple, whenever you take on any of these projects, there's always these unexpected issues that seem to come up. Well, because of the professionalism of Todd and the various contractors on this job, and especially how well John worked with Todd and Tommy, they were always not only to master the problems, but in lots of ways provide enhancements for the project so that it turned out to be even a better project than when it first was designed on paper. And they worked great. The building committee oversaw everything, worked great with the committee, and so because of that, this is the outstanding result that we have for the community for hopefully for many generations to come. And that's about all I have to say. Thanks a lot for everybody who worked on this.
Thank you, Bob. Well, that concludes our program. Unless anybody has any anecdotes.
I would